Bosses are meant to have exaggerated movesets, things that you would never see a regular enemy do. But some of them are so over the top that it's worth putting them together and having a look at them. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 over the top boss moves. Starting off with number 10, when Cronos tries to crush you in God of War 3. Now, of course, everything about God of War 3 is over the top. The set pieces, the combat, the level of violence and scale of the boss fights, it's all about as crazy as an action game can get. Picking just one boss, let alone one attack for this list was a tall order because there are a lot of options here. Like the move where Hades tries to steal your soul almost made this list, but we decided to start with something more suitably bombastic. The fight with Cronos goes to 100 right from the start, with this gigantic titan trying to crush Kratos between his thumb and index finger while the camera zooms out to really give you a sense of scale, just telling you, hey, this guy is that much bigger than you. Like, you're not even an ant compared to this guy. He's basically messing with you at that point, though. When he gets really serious, that's when he just straight up tries to crush you flat with the palm of his hand, which is obviously not good enough to stop Kratos, of course, but pretty impressive. At number 9, the Throw a Planet attack from Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know about you, but I did not expect the Guardians of the Galaxy game to escalate as fast as it did, or as far as it did. The final boss is the closest thing we've seen to a JRPG boss in a Western action game based on a comic book that we've ever seen. Like, it's totally nuts. After the fake-out ending, it's revealed the true enemy of the game, Magus. Again, perhaps a funny coincidence in that it's kind of the inverse of Chrono Trigger, where Magus wasn't the actual bad guy, but Magus took control of Adam Warlock, which basically means he has infinite power. And if none of that makes any sense to you, just remember it's comic books, you kind of have to roll with it. But you battled this guy floating on a platform in space where he summoned shadow enemies to fight you while trying to pelt you with projectiles. For most of the fight, it's nothing too wild, but get far enough and he suddenly whips out an entire planet that he sends crashing towards you. The only way to survive is to reach the shield that Nikki generates, otherwise you're just dead. It doesn't get much more over the top than using a planet like a snowball, but believe me, it's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the top attacks in video games. At number 8, Asura's Wrath's Time Stop ass-kicking, for lack of a better word. The true final boss in Asura's Wrath, the one that we're contractually obligated to remind you that you had to pay money to actually see, is one of the most over-the-top final encounters in video game history. If we're just talking about scale, this would probably be the number one out of all of them. Like, the leading up to the fight, this guy doesn't just throw planets at you, he throws entire solar systems at you. You blow up suns while trying to kill him. The scale is insane. Like, it's all so over the top that regular gigantic things getting thrown at you, like, they almost feel mundane. I mean, it doesn't, but when your main guy is suddenly as big as a planet and the final boss is bigger than the galaxy, these kind of attacks stop being as impressive. So instead of just talking about big things getting thrown at you, I want to talk about one of the crazier boss attacks out there. Like, this guy pulls this time stop ability on you, and he generates this orb that if you're in it, it gets frozen solid, and he takes advantage of that by giving you this insane beatdown. Even if you manage to avoid some of his attacks, he still taunts the hell out of you by teleporting in your way and just like looking at you like you're nothing. It's probably one of the most Dragon Ball Z style teleport spam beatdowns, but taken to the next level, and you basically have to be on the receiving end of it. And number 7 is a Psychic Meteor attack from Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Looking at the little cute puffball, you would assume that a Kirby game would probably be one of the last types of games that you'd see insane over-the-top bosses, but you would be wrong. For whatever reason, some of the most wild stuff of all time goes down in the Kirby series. But then again, the game is about a little fluff ball that can absorb basically anything and steal its powers. Kind of like a cute vacuum or something, I don't know. It's weird enough to expect some weird stuff in. But still, you don't really expect Devil May Cry level bosses, but then you get to the final boss. And this goes for basically any Kirby game. But in this case, the most over-the-top attack in the game happens at the end of the true arena, the final challenge of the game. You get to the end, you take on the Chaos Alphalus, the ultimate form of the regular final boss, with an entirely new second form. He was basically already a Devil May Cry boss with some pretty impressive attacks, but in the ultimate form, it goes next level. When you get to the second part of the fight, that's also when the stop stops really get pulled out. It catches on fire, the skies turn red, it starts causing explosive debris to rain down from the sky. Some of it falls down in piles, and the only way to avoid the next attack, the massive deadly shockwave, is to platform up the debris to avoid it. It doesn't sound that crazy, but in action it's actually pretty tough and insane looking. Kirby in the Forgotten Lands actually has some pretty wild bosses other than this, but obviously Chaos Alphaless tops all of them. And number 6 is the Elden Beast's grab attack from Elden Ring. Like, we had to mention at least one Souls game boss here. And while most of the bosses in these kinds of games are more down to earth with less flashy attacks, this guy is anything but. The Elden Beast is the final boss of the game, with a fight taking place in a suitably epic environment. A lot of its attacks are over the top. It's got a massive sword that generates holy explosions. It fires homing projectiles that shoot out dozens of additional homing projectiles. It flies through the air shooting stuff at you, and it's an all-around weird fight that's a little more abstract than what you're used to seeing in these kinds of games, where the standard boss is usually just a guy with a sword. Of course, its most over-the-top attack has got to be its grab. If you've seen it, you know exactly what we're talking about. If you're unlucky enough to get caught by this thing, it literally crucifies you on the Elden Ring just like Marika, then impales you with multiple magic spears before blowing you up in a massive explosion. It's an attack that does a ton of damage, and you're unlikely to survive it. And the very idea of surviving the attack is actually ridiculous itself. I mean, it impales you about a dozen times. If you got hit with that, you should probably be dead. Arguing the logistics of this thing is kind of pointless, though. It's an over-the-top attack meant to show you how powerful the boss is, and it serves that purpose very well. At number 5, the Data Xemnas from Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. All the Data bosses you take on in the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC are pretty nuts. Every last one of them seems to pull out some totally nutso attack. It's very dangerous. So while you might not agree with this one, it's probably my personal favorite as far as over-the-top attacks go. I'm talking about the laser orb attack from the Data Xemnas, where he literally surrounds the arena with hundreds of dots of lasers and then fires them all in sequence. This all happens while he's attacking you, with a ton of other attacks as well, so the visual alone is really over the top. At first, you can't even really tell it's supposed to be an attack. It looks like a background changed to some new abstract visual, but then the little lights start to glow and you find yourself pinned down by an endless rain of lasers. It's kind of one of those attacks that's so over the top, it's practically abstract. At number 4, when a boss throws a building at you in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Now, not every boss with larger-than-life attacks is automatically good, as this entry makes abundantly clear. Sonic the Hedgehog on the PS3 and Xbox 360 is a miserable game with some of the worst bosses out there. And I don't just mean in like the Sonic series, I mean like any game ever. They're really, really god-awful. Iblis is no exception. Most of this fight, you're sitting around waiting for things to happen, only to suddenly die and be forced to play the whole thing over again. Most of its attacks aren't anything to write home about at all, until just out of the blue, it suddenly picks up a whole building and tries to flatten you with it. If you attack it, you can interrupt the attack, but good luck actually hitting it with these terrible aiming controls. The fact that a gigantic enemy tries to kill you with an entire building should be awesome, but in practice it's pretty laughable. Half the time the building just kind of judders around and then disappears when it hits you. It's really not impressive. It is over the top though. In a better game, having a psychic battle with a Godzilla-sized monster would be great, but we are also talking about Sonic 06, so it is not great. It is the opposite of great. At number 3 is Anima's Oblivion from Final Fantasy X. Some of the most over-the-top attacks in gaming, period, come from the summons in Final Fantasy. Like, these are the most wild moves in the series, and the series is insane in so many respects. But it's important to note that while these moves are wild, you're for the most part using them on enemies, not the other way around. This changes when you face off against Seymour for the first time in Final Fantasy X. On his own, he's not that dangerous, but what really makes him threatening is his Aeon, Anima. When this thing gets summoned into the fight, that's when you get a taste of your own medicine, and it pulls out this Oblivion attack, where this weird-ass mummy thing pulls your party into the netherworld or something, where Anima's bottom half is revealed to be an upside-down demon that punches the hell out of your party. If you're not prepared, this attack can and will end right there. It is a brutal one. It's also another one where it's not necessarily the scale that makes it over the top, but the presentation. Few boss attacks really give you that feeling like you're totally screwed than this one. It's just got the perfect level of intimidation and weirdness. And also, again, if you're not prepared, you're not going to survive it. And number 2 is Sand's first attack from Undertale. Usually, bosses have their over-the-top stuff. Later in the fight, they save it just to make it really hard to survive with low HP after a long battle. This guy, though, not messing around. He pulls out all the stops right from turn 1, attacking with an absolutely overwhelming barrage of deadly attacks that few actually manage to survive the first time, or the second or third time. Generally considered the hardest boss in the game, the genocide route Sand's boss can only be fought if you killed literally everything else in the game. You'd think that would prepare you, but it's not even close. Even if you do manage to survive the initial onslaught, it's not like the fight's just over after that. You still need to beat him, and this is a fight where it could be considered challenging even without that initial attack. Visually, it looks like a suspiciously smooth playing NES game, so while it's not that over the top in detail, it's incredibly over the top in challenge. Everyone always jokes about why a boss just doesn't use the ultimate attack at the start, but this guy did it. And number 1 is Save for Sephiroth SuperNova from Final Fantasy VII. So, there's nothing really that can compare with this. Save for Sephiroth is the final boss of Final Fantasy VII, and there was nothing more epic back in 1997 when this game first came out. The choir, the strange heavenly background, it's all about as perfect as a final boss can get. Like, just look at this madness. He somehow causes Pluto to come crashing down through the solar system, destroying everything in its path before crashing into the sun and causing a literal supernova. Like, the entire solar system is destroyed and the attack ends with an expanding ball of fire hitting the party. Of course, it doesn't even kill you. He literally whipped out an attack that destroyed every planet in our system, but that's not enough to stop you. Also, logistically, like, these games don't take place in our solar system, so did he kill all of us? Is that what happened? Did he transport the party there? Or use the energy from the destruction of our sun? I don't know. All you can do is really imagine some kind of illusion, because I'm not really sure what the alternative even is. It's so over the top that it's not even canon what it is. In every way, it's one of the most ridiculous single attacks in video game history, and I'm not sure if anyone's managed to top it. A couple of smaller bonus ones for you. The Great Attractor from Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, they tried to top the Sephiroth attack, but I mean, while they didn't do it, this is a really crazy attack where the final boss pulls out a similar move in that they tether a bunch of planets to your party and slam them all into you at once. It's bizarre and really over the top, but still not quite as crazy as that Sephiroth attack. I don't know, you definitely get points for trying Final Fantasy VIII. There's also a really crazy one from Super Robot Wars OG Moon Dwellers. It just goes beyond the impossible. Not that none of these did, but the final boss in this edition of the long-running strategy RPG crossover service laughs at destroying just a solar system. This guy's attack, called the Degenerative Cannon, seems to destroy the entire galaxy with a single blast. If you thought SuperNova was ridiculous, you haven't seen anything yet. As epic, I don't know. Definitely more ridiculous, though. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.